I'm here. Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know why I got muted, but it did.
Oh, well, now you're there.
Yes, sir. You sound great. I can't see you, but you sound great.
All right. You want to see me?
Now you're looking all nice and pink.
All right. No makeup today, though. So,
Oh,
oh,
you don't need it. It just hurts.
so we're doing a show here today, huh?
That's the plan.
And I guess the Israelis are talking about a ceasefire with Hamas if they'll release some prisoners. So I guess the Israelis figure they have most of the northern Gaza secure. They
Well,
must
I think
have,
they're getting a lot of pressure from us, too.
yeah, because the Democrats don't want to lose the election,
Exactly. Yeah.
so they're gonna cater to the anti-Semitic part of the of the party, and then they're gonna have all the Jewish side of the party pissed off at them.
Well, I hope Israel just keeps on going.
Yeah, I was reading an article. They interviewed some of the EMS and first responders who made it to the scenes and the soldiers after Hamas had gone back into Gaza Strip, and they were raping 13, 14-year-olds and then killing them, and chopping heads off of babies. And these guys who had been doing ambulance runs all their lives they were just shocked.
Well, it sounds like Iran is going to let Hamas out to just hang them out to dry there.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, because they weren't informed that it was going to take place beforehand. And now they're saying you're on your own. Whether that's actually happening, you never know.
You never know. No, and Hezbollah might help them out.
No, they've kind of said, too, we're going to stay out of this pretty much.
For fear that the Israelis will nuke their ass.
Exactly. Yeah. They just rebuilt this place. We're not going to tear it down now.
This is unbelievable. I mean, it just, I just do not see how people can abide this kind of barbarism in this day and age, and say that it's Israel's fault. I mean, how can it be Israel's fault that you go over and rape children and murder them? I just don't get it. And they
Because
were,
reality is perception. And if you can get that perception out there, you've got the reality.
yeah, oh yeah, and people don't know. Half the people out there protesting, they don't have any idea what's going on.
Nor do they know the history behind Israel and what they've gone through over the past 50, 60, 70 years.
And of the Palestinians and what they've gone through.
It's an education problem, partly. Hey, I'm going to grab, you sound pretty good. You look pretty good. I'm going to grab some fresh air.
All right, buddy, I'll be back.
All right. We'll see you after the weather.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, we don't think we have that music problem worked out yet. So I will be cueing you by my lovely voice.
Did you get Robert or Joe to come in and take a look?
Yeah, I did. Robert couldn't immediately figure it out. And we had about 40 other things he had to do. So he's going to get back to it. But I don't know. Today it's not. I don't think he's worked on it. He hasn't told me about it. So let's not play it by ear. We'll just assume you're going to hear your cue from me.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
You bet.
Advantage of it where you can add double to quadruple digits in your account. We'll see you next week. God bless.
Tampa Bay's only conservative station, AM 860, The Answer, WGUL. You need to download the Answer Tampa app or listen online at theanswertampa.com. Tune in at Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Former President Trump on the stump in Iowa Saturday.
We've now beat the radical left Democrats' election rigging ballot qualification scam in Colorado and Michigan and Minnesota and New Hampshire and other states. And we're just on our way. It was just another idea. They talked about the 14th Amendment. They came up with this concept. Maybe we can keep them up.
Meanwhile, Mr. Trump continues to lead the GOP presidential field in New Hampshire. The United Auto Workers Union has overwhelmingly ratified a new contract with Ford and Stellantis, a pact that, along with similar deals with General Motors, will raise pay across the industry. Ford workers voted 69% in favor of the deal, which passed with nearly 15,000 vote margin. This is SRN News. Persecution of Christians around the world continues to increase, but religious refugees are finding it harder and harder to escape to this country.
The U.S. willingness and ability to receive refugees needing to flee their place of birth has continued to drop over recent years, and it's a pretty alarming state for Christians that need to leave their place of birth.
Ryan Brown is president and CEO of Open Doors US.
Even after COVID, as things have been returning to more normal patterns and cadences, we're not necessarily seeing that return in the number of refugees that are being allowed access to the United States.
The decline in refugee admissions has been especially sharp during the Biden years. Some critics point to the contrast in the president's attitude toward illegal immigration, especially at the U.S. southern border. This is SRN News.
International Diamond Center's most anticipated sale of the year is this weekend, Friday through Sunday. Our biggest and final store-wide event. Get up to 20% off or get 3 years zero interest financing. Getting engaged, upgrading your diamond, looking for that perfect gift. You can't miss this. IDC's best prices on all rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, fashion jewelry, even GIA certified diamonds. Save up to 20% or get 3 years zero interest financing. It's incredible. And it's this Friday through Sunday only, and only at IDC in Tampa, Clearwater, Lakeland, and Sarasota.
Hurricane season is here, and now is the time to make a plan and secure your home. Take inventory of your home's hurricane preparedness kit. Don't forget about your pets. Even if you evacuate, secure your home's windows and doors from the storm. Being prepared helps protect your family and home. This hurricane season, don't delay. Make a plan today. Know your zone, know your home. Learn more at floridadisaster.org. This message is sponsored by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour, only on AM 860, The Answer.
Mostly sunny today and pleasant, quiet weather for early holiday traveling, high 81. Mainly clear tonight, low 63. Lots of sunshine tomorrow with a high of 83. Mainly clear tomorrow night, low 68. Tuesday, a bit of sun, high 82. Wednesday, mostly cloudy with a spotty thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 77. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Cheryl Golden for AM 860, The Answer.
Go, Doc.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD, and we're doing a show this morning. I got Ken by my side, thank God.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I hate to be alone, it's so lonely. So
well, if somebody's got to keep you company, I'm glad it's me.
Yeah, I'm glad it's you too. And we are a handsome pair, that's for sure.
Well, you more than me. Of course, you've got the makeup on.
Not today. The wife's in town.
Really?
Yeah, she went up to hang out with her niece and nephews up in niece and nephew and their families and kids up in New York for the weekend. She was missing that good Korean cooking, and she was tired of cooking for herself, so she went up there to eat out.
So you had no makeup artist this morning?
No makeup, and you got me in the raw, baby.
Well, you're looking good.
Oh, well, thank you.
Hope you're feeling well.
I'm feeling pretty good. I did get the Ring Pro 2 doorbell installed yesterday while she was out of town, because when she's here, she's like a critic, and it just really undoes me. But, I got the drywall patch back up, and everything's working. The only thing I have to do is I have to put the cable, the low voltage line into something, because I'm running it through the garage. But I'll get that done. That's not a big deal. Low voltage, you don't have to do that, but make it look nice.
Well, I don't have one of those Ring things, so tell me if you like it. Well,
I had the Google Nest, and I didn't like that one, and so that was about $100 plus. And then so I ordered the Ring Pro 2, which is twice the money, but it's 100 times better than that Google Nest. The video. The camera on it is spectacular, and they're all easy to hook up. If you already have a doorbell and you know how to twist two wires together, you can do it. But then you got to download the app and fiddle fart around with that. But it's not that hard. You can do it, or hire somebody.
There you go. Now you're talking my language.
There you go. There you go. All right, now we have 43 people, at least in 15 states, have been infected with Salmonella typhus. and that's the salmonella causes the diarrhea syndrome, and you can have systemic symptoms too. Most people get over it, but some people get really sick. And in the old days, before we had fluid resuscitation and antibiotics, it had about a 10 to 20% mortality rate. So it was a significant disease at one point. And when I was a kid, when we were swimming in the Ohio River before they separated the sewage and the rainwater out from each other, the sewage was just dumped into the river. And so we'd go down to the river and swim, and our parents, to protect us, would give us a typhoid vaccination, which was under the skin, subcutaneous in your forearm. And you'd get a big red welt there for a few days. And then we could jump in the Ohio River and swim with all the little germs.
What's causing this outbreak? Do they know?
Yeah, it's coming from whole cantaloupes and cut cantaloupes. And the brands that are involved are the Malachita and also there's another brand here. Let me get this pulled over here. And the Vineyard brands, and there's some brands that were sold by Aldi. How do you pronounce that?
Aldi, yeah.
Whole cantaloupe and pre-cut cantaloupe products with best dates between October 27th and 31st. So if you've been hanging out at the Aldi, you might want to chuck those cantaloupes. So at any rate, this is an interesting disease, and it was actually discovered back in the late 19th, early 20th century. And the story here is that there was a woman named Mary Mellon, and she was an immigrant from Ireland, and she actually was the first person that they documented as being a carrier of the bacteria without actually succumbing to the disease. So she had a mild case, got over it, but she never was able to clear the bacteria out of her system. Most of us do. So she probably had some immune defect. And so she was a cook, and she was cooking for people up in the New York area. And she was also pooping and excreting her little bits of bacteria and getting it on her hands and in the food. And there was an investigator who did finally figure out that this was not coming from freshwater or saltwater clams or any other source like that. It was coming from human to human. And he actually tracked her down. She tried to get away, and he tracked her down in New York City, and they locked her up for the last 20 or 30 years of her life.
Oh, my goodness.
Because she was in quarantine because she was excreting this germ all over the place and causing a lot of public health problems. So
I didn't think it was that contagious that you could spread it that quickly or that easily.
Oh yeah, it's a oral fecal. So it's in the poop, and if you get it in the food chain, then you're going to have problems. If you're cooking and you have it on your hands, you don't wash your hands. And this is probably what's happening with this infection here, that there are some workers who were picking or processing the cantaloupes, probably the processing stage of it, and they didn't practice good hygiene. Who knows? It probably came from Mexico. So,
yeah, you'd think they'd be wearing gloves or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you would think so. The problem is that you don't always have that control, and especially in second or third world countries like Mexico, and people who work on farms, migrant laborers. I mean, I'm not sure anybody's sitting out there and watching them, making sure they're using Purell or some kind of hand cleanser.
Probably not.
It's a business, and you got big fields full of produce, and you got people picking and working and scratching their butts and God knows what else. So
I think they could throw them through, pass them through some ultraviolet light or something and kill some of that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, you could. We could do that.
It
Now
cost
that-
them a lot of money, though.
Yeah, it would. And, I think that's another reason why we have the extensive healthcare system and public health that we have. And although people complain about it, especially with this pandemic that we just got through, or not actually completely through it, because I'm seeing more and more cases of COVID every week. Thank God. But with the Paxlovid, it's easy
It's
to
manageable now. Yeah.
Oh, it's easy to treat now with the Paxlovid. And there are some people who don't get over it with just one round of Paxlovid. And actually, some of my patients said, well, I didn't know there was Paxlovid out there. And I'm like, don't you listen to my show? Well, no, not all the time. I said, well, then there you go. If you don't listen to the show, then you just won't know. But
yeah, we've been talking about that for a year at least, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Year and a half.
Yeah.
So at any rate, people say, well, I had this diarrhea syndrome and nausea and vomiting. Now I'm all dehydrated, so I've been drinking water. No, don't do that. You'll get water intoxication. So what you need to do is to make an electrolyte solution. And you can do this by taking a liter, which is about 2 pints of water, put a level teaspoon of salt into the water, and 3 heaping teaspoons of sugar into the water, and shake it up and dissolve it really well. And that's an electrolyte solution that kind of mimics your own blood electrolyte solution. So
it's homemade Gatorade.
Gatorade doesn't have that much salt in it. Gatorade is only a quarter normal saline. Normal saline is about what you have in the concentration of salt to water in your bloodstream. So this is a higher amount of salt, and that gives you something similar to your own electrolyte balance and your own sugar balance in your bloodstream.
I'll keep that in mind. Good tip.
Yeah, and you can give that to kids too, and that's in the third world. That's what people were taught to do because they didn't have the facilities that we have. They couldn't give their kids normal saline. Normal saline doesn't exist in a lot of sub-Saharan Africa out in the rural areas. So
it's a level teaspoon of salt and then 3 heaping teaspoons of sugar, correct?
You got it, buddy boy.
Mixed up nicely. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I like that.
Now, we do have some other diseases to talk about if you want to stay on medicine for another minute or two.
Whatever you want to do.
Well, if you find it interesting. If it's
I always find what you say interesting.
Get out of town.
Really? You're a fascinating guy.
So I had a patient, a Canadian, of course, come in, and she had some kind of lung infection and was low on oxygen and not doing well. And we talked her into going into the hospital because her chest x-ray showed a lot of lymph nodes around the middle of her chest, what we call the hilar region. The hilum is the area where all the great vessels take off from the heart and go out to the lungs. And you've also got your thymus down there, which is part of your immune system. And so you got a whole bunch of lymph nodes there, which generally don't show up unless you're sick or you've had some disease that causes them to pop up. And they've gotten scarred down over the years. So she looked pretty active. So we admitted her, and indeed her oxygen level was low. So we gave her oxygen. She also had influenza A and B. So we started her on the Tamiflu, and also put her on doxycycline, which is an antibiotic that treats most strep infections and a lot of atypical infections that get some gram negatives. It'll also get Legionnaire's disease. Checked her for Legionnaire's because it's such a nasty, nasty bug, and you lose people quickly with that. So she did better, but the CAT scan showed that she had emphysema, COPD, because she had been a smoker, but also bronchiectasis, which is an inflammatory response at the end of your little bronchial tubes. And it went along with infection. And then, of course, she had all these lymph nodes in the hilum. And so we thought, is this cancer? And the radiologist and I looked at it and we said, well, it's probably infectious or inflammatory. And so I was curious, well, what could cause this besides an infection, and what kind of infection? Well, so I looked it up. So being the smart boy that I am. So sarcoidosis is, we don't know exactly what causes that, but it's kind of like a slow tuberculosis of the lungs. It can also get into your joints. It can affect your heart. It can affect your system in many, many ways. I don't think she has that because she really doesn't have the symptomatology that I would expect. Then other infections like tuberculosis, fungal infections, mycoplasma, which is an atypical bacteria that the doxycycline will cover, can cause that. And you see kind of like a butterfly infiltrate in the lungs coming out from the hilum. And so, I covered that. I got that covered. And there's also a disease called Whipple's disease, which is a little bacteria that can infect your intestines. It can interfere with your lipid uptake and distribution. And in a few people, the bacteria actually gets out of the bowel and into the heart, the brain. It can cause all kinds of problems, including dementia and death and endocarditis. It's the most common cause of culture negative. That means when you take blood cultures and you don't grow anything, that's culture negative endocarditis, which is an infection inside the heart. And we can see that on ultrasound. Other things that can show up with lymph nodes are cancers like lymphoma, lung cancer, and tumors in the mediastinum, which is the center of the chest. Then you can get it with dust damage to your lungs, like silicosis, which is people who are sandblasting silicone, and berylliosis, which is something you get from other industrial positions. There's farmer's lung, which is an inflammatory response to a mold in the hay. And then there's a few other diseases like HIV, AIDS. You can have an allergic alveolitis, which is an allergic inflammation in the chest. And you can also have eosinophilic granulomatosis, which is an interesting disease. Eosinophils are the white blood cells that are involved in our allergic response, and this is sort of like a mild leukemia that only involves the eosinophils, and so you can get that, and that's easily treated. Most of these things are treatable now. So Whipple's disease, all these things, the things that are hard to treat are the things that are industrial cause, like silicosis and berylliosis. Those are tough. And a lot of that's just symptomatic, but that's the way it goes.
That Whipple disease, it'll make you squeeze a Charmin.
Yes.
Remember Mr. Whipple?
Mr. Whipple.
Remember those commercials?
Oh, yeah. Please don't squeeze the Charmin.
Yeah.
So this is a cool viral video. This woman had a Stanley thermos, one of those screw top jobs that you can put in your cup holder in your car.
Sure.
And she had it in her car, and her car caught on fire and burnt up. But guess what? The Stanley tumbler survived the fire. And so she pulled it out, and she was doing a video of it, and she even shook it, and the ice was still in there.
Well, there's a testimonial for your product.
The best part of it is Stanley, one of the executives at Stanley saw it, and they sent her a thank you letter. And they also said, by the way, we're going to replace your car for you.
Wow, there you go.
For being such a good advertisement for our tumbler.
They know what they're doing there at Stanley.
Listen, those people are smart.
Yeah, that's worth $1 million in free publicity, what they just did.
Oh, yeah. You can buy a $20,000-$30,000 car, and it's not even a penny out of the pocket.
Yeah, that kind of thing just spreads on Facebook so fast.
Unbelievable. By the way, in the background there, Ken, I don't know if you see it, but you see that?
What is that? That looks like some sort of ride.
It is. It is the largest Ferris wheel in the world, and that's in Singapore. And those cars are huge. I mean, you could drive a truck in there. Look at the size of
Well, that's got to be at least a school bus size. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's really amazing, and it's you see the big see the big arms over there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess over here. I mean, it's not even it's not on a traditional wheel that has axles on it. I mean, this is all hyper mechanical and these huge posts that have hydraulics in them and everything. It's pretty neat. And it's about 65, 70 stories high at the top.
Wow.
So you're up there. It's pretty cool. We really enjoyed that.
You have any photos from the top? Did you take some photos up on the top?
Yeah, I'll put one on after the break and show you what we saw.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, oh, it's really neat. It's really neat. Singapore is a neat city. It's just too bad it's so damn hot.
You should be used to it. You're from Tampa. Come on.
Yeah, but not all year round. I can't take the summers here much longer. I'm getting to the point where I just want to stay indoors from sun up to sundown during the summertime.
Want to move up to Chicago? It's a little better up there in the summer. Winters are kind of tough, but
nah, I don't want to move.
It'll be a nice change for you.
All those Democrats drive
that would drive you crazy.
Mm-hmm. We love Chicago. We love Chicago. We've been
Beautiful
there
town.
It's a great town. It's just too bad that the Democrats are destroying it. And you know, it used to be all South Chicago, and now it's coming up into the Miracle Mile. It's a mess. I'm telling you.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you 10 years ago, you never saw anything violent happening downtown.
No, never. And there were cops everywhere.
Yeah, not anymore.
Nope, those days are gone. But I see where they cleaned up San Francisco, and Gavin Newsom said, when they said, well, you're just doing it because you're having all these world leaders here for the G9 or whatever it was. And he said, yeah, that's right. You know, when you're having company over, you clean the house up. I thought that was a pretty good answer, but
yeah, but everybody lives there. Don't worry about it. It'll be, just the way it is.
We'll let them all back out once.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you can have your streets back, but and you know, they're saying, oh, we can't clean everything up, but we don't have anywhere for these people. All of a sudden, they find somewhere for these people to go.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. Well, now Netanyahu has a big problem with his party or his what do you call their Senate and House? I forget.
Likud or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Likud or something.
The right wing, which are nationalist and religious zealots, real conservative Jews, they're all upset because they're demanding that there be no concessions to the Palestinians, to Hamas, until they get all the prisoners back. And so he's got a big split there, and it's going to be a big fight for him to try to hang on to power. I would think that during a war they won't want to change, but you never know. And
he's always trying to hang on to power there.
Well, this is his third time in. He was in the 90s. Then he was in from 2009 to 2020 or 21, and then he got back in last year.
Yeah.
So he's the longest serving prime minister of Israel, and really, you got to admire the guy. I mean, you may not like him, but and they've even gone after him criminally, like they have done to Trump, and they couldn't pin anything on him, and he survived all of this. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I trust him to do what's right there.
Well, I think that I see what the conservatives are saying, and I guess in theory I agree with that, but the practicality of it is that there may be something more going on. So, the Israelis may have secured all the tunnels in the northern part of the Gaza Strip, and now that they have them secured and they can monitor the actions and movements of Hamas and Hezbollah, which apparently they're doing, they might say, well, we could probably take a break here and we can see how they move around and get a little bit more intel. Now, the United States is trying to broker a deal of a 5-day ceasefire, but Hamas has to agree to let go so many people. And so Hamas said, well, yeah, we'll let go 50. of the hostages, and we'll do it in, like 5 or 10 a day. So that seems to be almost a done deal, but I don't know how that will shake out with the conservatives and the government in Israel. We'll see what happens.
Now, I kind of lost track there. Did we ever get that aid package for Israel passed? And is it underway, kind of thing?
My understanding is that the House did pass something, but I don't know if the Senate has topped it off yet or not. The House has passed everything that the Republicans in the House have brought up. Did you know that? Including the stopgap measures to keep the government from shutting down. They funded the government. And of course, the conservative Republicans are upset because our new speaker pulled in Democrats to help pass this thing. And as he said, look, I agree with you that this is not a good spending bill, but if we don't do something, we're not going to win more seats. And we've only got a majority of 3. And I mean, that's pretty squeaky.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So I think he's got the right idea. Sometimes you got to make a deal with the devil to get to heaven,
Well, cooperation between both parties has been the way it's done for most of the history of this country. Rarely do you have enough power to get your way all the time.
Well, I think that Andy Jackson and FDR would, especially Andy Jackson. FDR probably had more trouble later in the New Deal getting things through because nothing worked except for the only thing that survived the New Deal was Social Security. Did you know that? That's the only program that survived the New Deal.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So, but Andy Jackson, I mean, he was a powerhouse when the Congress passed an import tax, and the Southerners were all upset because there would be a retaliatory tax on cotton and tobacco that they sold in European and Mideastern markets. He actually went to Congress and he jawboned them into reducing it because the Southerners were ready to leave the Union at that point. Might have been a different story if they had, but they waited another 30 years, and during that time the trains came in and the technology increased tremendously, and the North had built up quite a industrial complex, and the South had not. It had remained basically an agrarian economy, and although it brought in most of the foreign capital for the United States, it was not a good recipe for laying the groundwork for a revolt and to break away from a much more powerful part of the country. And it didn't work, obviously.
Yeah.
And, and at the end of the war, Lee and Johnston both said, this is we're not getting anywhere. We cannot win this war. The attrition would be too much. And most of the Southern soldiers did not want to quit fighting. Did you know that? They did not.
I didn't know that. I would think by then they were pretty much through with it.
They were ready to march barefoot into hell following those guys. And when they marched into Gettysburg, one of the big things in Gettysburg that attracted Lee and his army to Gettysburg was they had a shoe factory there. And a lot of the Southern boys didn't have shoes. They did not have shoes. So they were able to get a few thousand pairs of shoes for some of these guys. And that was a big deal. And that's one of the reasons that they marched through Gettysburg and decided to take on the Northerners there. A bad idea, though. The art of war says don't do that.
But Foot Locker says, come on by.
Foot Locker said, come on in. And what's his name? Sun Chi or Sun Chu or whatever his name was. He said, nope, that's not a good idea.
You know what is a good idea? Drinking coffee in a Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mug.
Yahoo. That's true, baby.
That is a great idea, especially on a sunny Sunday morning.
Absolutely. So why don't you ask a question?
I will. We have 2 Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs at 877-969-8600 for the first person who correctly answers this question. It always deals with something we talked about in the first half of the show. So if you tuned in early, you'll have the answer. The doc gave us a what I call a homemade Gatorade recipe this morning. What is that recipe? It consists of 1 part salt and 3 parts of something else. What is that something else? Let's make it a little easier. 1 part salt,
I think
3
that's a
parts
good-
something else. What is the something else? You just got to tell me what it is, and you will be the winner if you're the first caller at 877-969-8600. That's 877-969-8600. Ain't that right, Doctor?
You got it, baby. We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Bill. I'm at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Give us a call. Come join the practice. We'll be right back.
You bet.
Appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandy. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour. Only on AM 860, The Answer.
Mostly sunny today and pleasant, quiet weather for early holiday traveling, high 81. Mainly clear tonight, low 63. Lots of sunshine tomorrow with a high of 83. Mainly clear tomorrow night, low 68. Tuesday, a bit of sun, high 82. Wednesday, mostly cloudy with a spotty thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 77. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Cheryl Golden for AM 860, The Answer.
Yo, Doc.
And I'm back. I'm Dr. Bill, your radio MD, and with Ken's little boost there during the show, first half of the show, I put up a picture we took from, let me get out of the way here, from up in the biggest Ferris wheel.
Wow. That is impressive.
Yeah, that's the light tree. I forget what they call it. They are a garden. They call it the Rhapsody Garden, I believe, and those things are a couple 100 feet tall.
What are they though? Are they just posts or what?
They are metal structures that have kind of like a tree shape to them. Next week, I'll put on one that we took a picture of during the day. They're big, baby. They're big. And you can walk around in there. That's a park. And at night, it's all lit up. And if you ever saw the movie Crazy Rich Asians,
I don't think I have.
they shot a lot of it in Singapore. And it's a funny movie. It's cute. It's about a guy from Singapore who comes from a very, very, very wealthy family that had been there for several generations. And he falls in love with an American girl who is a PhD, but she's not wealthy. And so he brings her home to meet mom and the family. And of course, the women just, piled up on her and bad mouthed her and trashed her. And she finally got her gumption up and stood up to the old gal and then was accepted into the family. But it's really cute. It's really funny. There's a lot. It's a love story, and it's also a comedy, and a lot of it's shot in Singapore. So it'd be a good movie if you'd like to see a little bit more of Singapore.
What's it called again?
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians. Okay.
Yep.
I don't think that Alex Vandenberg is a crazy rich Asian, but he does listen to the show very closely. He knew that sugar was the correct answer to today's trivia question.
You know why?
Why?
Because he's a really sweet guy.
Ha
Thanks for listening, Alex. We appreciate you, buddy, and we love you. And it's always good to have people call in and let me know that I'm not here just with Ken.
You're not talking to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with Ken, but I'd like a little bit more.
All right, Alex Vandenberg, congratulations. You're going to get those two Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs in the mail. And Alex lives in Treasure Island. And thanks to everybody who tried to call in. We had a lot of phone calls for this one.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Love you.
And by the way, the recipe is for your own homemade Gatorade. That's a level teaspoon of salt and 3 heaping teaspoons of sugar. Mix it all up real good.
And a liter of water.
A liter of water. Okay.
Liter of water. And,
right. You don't want to put all that in a cup of.
No, that'd be a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But, a liter is about 2 pints. It's about a quart. Quart's maybe a little less than a liter, but you can get a liter bottle. You can just go to the store and buy a liter of soda pop, pour that out, and mix it up. Don't forget your funnel.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, by the way, put the dry stuff in first, because if you pour
works
the
better that way. Yeah.
and the funnel is all wet, it ain't gonna work, guys.
All right, so a safety tip there from the doc.
So this landlord up in Brooklyn, his name is Rafiqul Islam. I guess he's a Muslim. He had some people that he was renting to, and they quit paying their rent, and they wouldn't move out. So he set the place on fire.
I guess they're gone now, huh?
Yeah, but he's in jail.
Oh, well,
he did what he felt he had to do to protect his property. I think I probably would have taken a little different approach, but the Muslims can be fairly extreme, as we have seen recently, and I'm sure with that last name, he's a Muslim.
I would think you're right. Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah, if I can't have it, nobody can. So I'll just burn it to the ground.
Yeah, just burn it to the ground. And if we can't have Israel, then we'll just kill them all and burn the whole place down.
That's right. Yeah,
and that'll show them that we can still live in poverty.
What's going on? The Israeli Hamas thing has just pushed Ukraine and Russia right off the media map. Nobody's talking about it anymore.
Well, the Ukrainians are still holding their own, but they're asking for more support from us, and I think that we're quietly sending some over so as to not to get the Congress all messed up and upset. And the president does have discretionary funds. You know that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So he can kind of do what he wants with that money, and I'm sure that we're doing some backdoor deals too. Like we'll help Italy if they'll send some munitions over to the Ukraine, and
We'll replenish what you need. Yeah.
yeah, the Europeans apparently are still helping them out, but the Ukrainians want to stay on the front page, and I don't blame them. They need to stay in the public eye, and we need to help them out. And I don't care what anybody says, left or right. Now, the left is for helping the Ukrainians out, but the Democrats have hated the Russians for eons now. The Republicans usually got along with the Russians. You know, Seward was a Republican, and he bought Alaska, so
Nixon made nice with the Russians for the most part.
Nixon made nice. I mean, Trump tried to have some inroads there, but the Democrats, they just want to fight them, which I'm not opposed to. But if you're going to fight them, just do it. But like I said to one of my Polish patients, I said, I just kill all the Russians. He said, you can't do it. I said, why not? He said, there's too many of them.
We thought about it. We can't get it done.
Yeah, we do. You know, the Poles are like, damn, we just can't get rid of these people.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot between Germany and Russia there.
Oh, they are. They're in a bad spot there. And the Germans, the Teutons and the Slovaks have been fighting over who's going to control Europe for centuries now. And there's not really been a decisive battle yet.
No wonder they came over here in the 20s and 30s.
Yep. Get the puck out of Dodge, baby.
Yeah, no kidding.
So this is an interesting thing. And I just came across this. Crime spikes when daylight saving time ends. A study finds. Did you know that? I did not know that.
No, that's weird. I wonder why.
And this is off of Fox News. Many Americans are griping about the daylight savings time, and of course we don't blame them. It is a pain, but you know, it interrupts our sleep patterns and gets us all out of whack. But it gets dark earlier, right?
Yeah.
And most of the crime occurs when you know, most of the thefts occur when it's dark.
So we have more cover for the
yeah, you got more cover. And that's one of the reasons I put in my Ring Pro, so I can see who's coming up trying to steal my electric car, which of course you can't do without the fob.
Right. Yeah.
You can't start it, but
wow.
And you know, Vivint, Vivint,
I've heard of it.
The security and cameras and all that. They sell a camera and a front doorbell camera and all that. They did all these studies, and it's pretty impressive. I didn't realize how much it jumped.
Well, the time change has a weird effect on people. Don't we have like more heart attacks on the day after, or the first day of a time change?
Probably. You know, you're probably more up on that than I am. But I would say that, yeah, that is a real probability, because it's a stressful situation for people.
Right. Yeah. So let's not do that anymore.
Yeah. Congress has been fighting over this for a while.
I don't know who's against it, but somebody powerful.
I think
they stop it every time. Farmers.
Aren't they the ones that like this the most? Because they can get out and do their crops earlier and all that.
Well, I guess they can plow a little later into the nighttime if they had to, but all that's custom. All that is computerized now. It's all GPS now. You don't find a lot of farmers sitting on the plow anymore. It's all, we use every inch of this field, and we're going to do it by GPS exact plowing. So it doesn't make any difference what time you're doing it.
And they sit in their cabs and
watch the ball game.
They can watch a ball game, and it's air conditioned, and they just make sure everything's running smoothly. And if an ear of corn gets jammed up the thing, then they can stop and get out and pull it out, or whatever you do with an ear of corn.
So it's not really critical to them anymore. I don't think they have a lot of daylight after, say, 6 o'clock.
I don't know. You're probably right, but
I used to know a lot of farmers. So.
And then how were they doing?
Always complaining. It's either too dry, too wet, too hot, or too cold. So they're always in trouble.
Always in trouble.
Right. Had one farmer told me that one day, I was sitting at a bar. This was when I was like in my 20s, early 20s. And I'm sitting there just talking to this guy, and he was a farmer, and he's complaining about it. He said, yeah, I may have to sell my plane. I If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. You know, I don't have a plane. I barely have a car or an apartment, but complaining to me about selling your plane is not going to get any sympathy from me. At least not at that age.
No, not at that age. Well, we need the farmers and we need the food.
Oh, yeah.
And we've outsourced so many things, but still we're one of the big producers of food for the world. Although the Chinese and Indians, we've taught them how to grow their own, and now they're self-sufficient for the most part. But we still sell them almonds. They like our almonds.
I didn't know our almonds were that good.
Yeah, well, yeah, we produce more almonds than anybody in the world.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's not a huge industry. You know, it's an $8 or $10 billion industry, but still, it's a little cash coming in, and we export more almonds than the next 5 countries put together.
Wow, I'm getting myself an almond tree. It is a tree, right?
Yeah, it's a tree. And did you know that cashews? Do you know what they are? They're the nut inside of the flower of the cashew tree. And the reason cashews are so expensive is because you have to peel them out by hand, and then they've got an inner coating around them. You know how peanuts have that skin?
Yeah.
Well, they have a skin that's very adherent, and you have to do it by hand. So that's why they're so expensive, and they're mostly grown in Southeast Asia.
Well, they've got the people there to do it. So.
Yeah, they got a bunch of people, little nut pickers. So did you see where the freeway out in central Los Angeles, I-10, was down for a while because
it had a freeway burned down, or something.
Burned the whole thing down. Remember when we had the overpass down by the Tropicana field caught on fire and melted the whole thing? The concrete cracked, the metal, and the whole thing was shut down for several months while they repaired it.
That must have been before I got down here. But did the truck blow up underneath it or something? Or what caused the fire?
On top of it, I think it was the tanker truck had some kind of volatile in it, and it exploded on top of it, and all that stuff poured out. And of course, the concrete can't withstand that kind of heat.
Yeah.
And then once it got through the concrete, the metal started to bend. Rebar's gone.
That's all LA needs is one freeway out of whack. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really something. Now, let's see what else have we got here. So now the stock market, all the pundits that were saying we were going to have a recession, now they're saying, oh, we're going to have a soft landing now. And did you see where the market jumped this week?
I did, yeah, like a lot. About 500 points, yeah.
So guess what? Now the mantra is buy more stocks. And some people saying, well, it might be a little bit early in there. No, buy now while it's cheap because it's only going to go higher. So if you're thinking about getting into the stock market or going back in or whatever, make sure you pick some winners. Don't go with the risky stuff.
Yeah, just buy Apple and Google.
Well, and NVIDIA and Abvay and pharmaceuticals, good pharmaceutical companies. There's a whole bunch of good stocks out there that you can buy. So
IBM is probably still a pretty safe buy. It's so diluted. There's so much out of there. You don't see much movement. IBM.
Oh, they haven't done anything for years. Their stock's been kind of creeping. I mean, they've grown obviously, but are they paying a dividend? They must be, because it's not a growth stock anymore.
No, not even close. But the safe stock.
It should be. I mean, they're pretty well established, but so is Microsoft.
Yeah.
And a lot of the pharmaceuticals are paying 3%, 4%, 5% dividends a year.
Oh, well, that's where you want to be.
Yeah. And so you get that and put that in your portfolio. Listen, I'm sounding like that guy that has the show before me, but I think all they're doing is annuities. I can't figure out what they do. They never really tell you.
Well, let's stay to medicine. We'll stick with medicine then, I guess.
We'll stick with medicine. So, any rate, Trump won another court battle out in Colorado. People are trying to get him kicked off of the ballot out there. Judge said, no, you can't do that. So they're going to appeal it and take it to a higher level. And I think he's won in Michigan and Wisconsin, and he's won several legal battles to stay on the ballot. So
That's all going to come back at him again, I think, because
well,
it was interesting what the judge said. He said he's dismissing it because he's not really the Republican candidate for president.
Yeah,
he has to get through the primaries. So once he gets through the primaries, the judge kind of said, do it again. In fact, he said you can reapply once the primaries are over. And then if he is a Republican candidate for president, then we'll talk about it.
that should be a good fight because, the Constitution gives the states a great deal of power over their electoral system. But the federal government also has a say, and they're trying to use the 14th Amendment against him. Actually, it'll work better in his favor because the 14th Amendment says everybody gets equal treatment under the law. And so that's a federal statute. That's not state level. So that should be fun to see. Watch.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes back at him. But right now, you're right. He's winning all of them. So.
And he's still way ahead of everybody else.
Oh, he is the nominee. I don't think there's any real doubt anymore. Nikki
Really?
and that doesn't have it. She doesn't have the oomph behind her, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
She'd have to win Iowa and New Hampshire to really take off before the money started flowing in.
Well, I think that she's a good person, and I don't think I'd had no problem voting for her, but she certainly doesn't project the kind of strength that Trump does. She
no, not at all.
And as far as DeSantis goes, he is really a superb guy and has done a great job and would be a great president. But I mean, he's like a piece of wood on the stage. I mean, he's just the voice and the personality. They are just not. There's no fire in his pit. He doesn't have that same fire that Trump and Nikki Haley have. He
doesn't have the Reagan sense of humor. You know what I mean?
No. And Trump is funny on stage. He is a riot. He's a one-man show. I really enjoyed seeing him.
I hear in person he's irresistible.
Oh yeah, apparently he's just very pleasant and
makes you feel like you're the most important person in the room and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Clinton could do that.
All the greats can do that. All the great communicators can do that kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
and that ain't Mr. DeSantis. I'm sorry, Governor. At least not what I've seen.
Well, so far, but we don't know. You never know what's going to happen. We're still a year away from the primary,
and he's a young guy still.
Oh yeah,
for presidency, he's got another 20 years, 30 years if he wanted to.
Yeah, and I think that he'll probably be back.
Yes, so do I.
But he needs to get his voice. He needs to see an ENT guy and get his vocal cords stretched out a little bit so he has a little deeper, different voice.
He's got to learn to relax a little bit.
And he needs some acting lessons. He needs somebody to teach him how to present himself on stage because he's all business.
Yes.
And, people don't like that after a while. They want you to be personable. They want to get to know you.
They want to see a quick wit.
Yeah, and they want to feel like they know your personality because everybody thinks they know Trump's personality, whether they like him or they don't like him. They all have this preconceived notion of what he's like, and he's a showman on stage. That's what he is.
Yeah,
I mean, off stage, he's not the same person.
None of them are, or have ever been.
I don't know. I'm betting DeSantis is much different.
I don't know. I think at home he probably is. I think he probably has everybody has a sense of humor. But
you think so?
Yeah, I think he's just too uptight about it. I think he's so concerned about every word he says.
Yeah, that may be. You may be.
He's overthinking it instead of just being himself.
Yep. Meanwhile, in sub-Saharan Africa, West Africa, guess where the Muslim terrorists are hiding out?
There?
In the national parks, amidst the elephants and the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Well, I watched that last night, as a matter of fact, The Wizard of Oz.
But there are no tigers in Africa except ones that have been imported.
No,
they're all in Asia.
Really?
Yep.
They've killed them all.
Well, no, they never were.
There were tigers. Where were tigers in Africa? Were there?
Nope.
Never?
Nope, they never evolved in Africa.
Just
Now,
lions? Only lions, huh?
yeah, lions and hyenas and cheetahs,
Jaguars and
leopards.
cheetahs. And, yeah.
No, jaguars are New World.
Oh, okay.
That they're South and Central America. Jaguars are the third largest cat after lions and tigers. Did you know that?
I know they're fast
They're big.
and they're deadly. Yeah.
Well, especially if you're smaller than them. And now the Chinese housing market continues to crumble. People paid in advance for apartments and condos. Did you know that? I didn't realize they put money down, and I guess that was how these developers got enough together. And you have to do that with office buildings now. You have to either have cash or you have to have X number of people. 80% of the property sold, or the banks don't want to lend you money.
Got to have some skin in the game there, huh? Yeah.
You got to have some skin in the game, and it's really a tough situation for them. I don't know what they're going to do, and you got a lot of people that have a demand for housing, and these guys can't finish these projects because they're out of money.
Not
they're
good.
going under.
So go live somewhere else. We got enough people in Florida now.
Yeah.
The roads are already crowded. So we got 3 minutes left here, Doc.
3 minutes. Well, I was going to talk about the videos that the Palestinians released of dragging dead Israeli women around after they had been raped and shot, and have them on the back of a truck with their legs spread open and yelling, "God is great, Allah Akbar." This is too much, really.
Yeah, it really is.
So in another video, Israeli soldier Naama Levy is pulled from the back of a Jeep by an armed gunman, her hands bound behind her back and thick blood stains between her legs as Palestinian men jeer at her. Somebody explain this to me. I don't get it.
I don't know how you can support them. I don't know how anybody could.
How can anybody call Islam the religion of peace? This is
a joke.
It's a joke. It's just ridiculous. This religion needs a reformation. It needs a change. And you see all of these Muslim countries that are condemning Israel, and of course they treat non-Muslims as second-class citizens in their countries. So I don't know.
And they're not taking a whole lot of Palestinians.
No, nobody wants the Palestinians. Everybody's for them, but nobody wants them. How does that?
I don't know. I don't get that. But what can you do?
I don't know. I have no idea what to do. But I do know this. I'm going to close out the show here. Well, we got a couple of minutes left.
We got a minute and a half.
We do have a full service clinic. You know that, Ken.
I've been there. It's great.
Yeah, we've got ultrasound, echocardiogram, X-ray, draw labs. We do rapid testing in the office, like for COVID and strep and the kissing disease, all kinds of things we do there. And we do minor surgery, cardiology, general medicine. We see Canadians and visitors. We're just so wonderful.
Do all the Canadians in town come to you? I think they do.
They better. If not, I'm going to complain to Trudeau. Send me your sick. Send me your injured. Send me everything. Oh, they don't get any care up there. I mean, it's just terrible. I got a lady with like 80-90% blockage of one of her neck arteries going to her brain, and she called her doctor and said it'll be months before she can get in to see a vascular specialist.
Well, I'm glad you're taking care of her. You got 25 seconds here, Doc. Give the phone number a couple times.
727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. We are at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. Come see us. We love you. We need you. We want you.
See you next week, Doc.
See you next week, and say goodbye, Doc.
Say goodbye, Doc. That's right.
Goodbye, Doc.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Bill, your radio MD. Join Dr. Bill every Sunday morning at 9 for more insight, information, provocation, and fun. Dr. Bill Handelman practices in St. Petersburg, Florida at Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic, 6399 38th Avenue North. For your convenience, telemedicine appointments are available. Call his office today at 727-384-6411. That's 727-384-6411. Or visit his website at cancareclinic.com.